IVM.
If you're planning for a trip, let's say Pune to Goa, what all do you plan for? I guess everything, starting from mode of travel, holiday duration, hotel stay, places to eat, places to visit, playlist if it's a road travel, airport look if it's a flight, so on and so forth. Does such planning occur when you plan to learn? Studies show that in general, we do not plan our learning as much as we plan our travel. Hi. This is Prashant Uttekar, a learning enthusiast, and you are listening to the Relearning podcast. And today I am making an attempt to simplify metacognition. Simply put, metacognition means thinking about thinking. Well, first things first, when you look at the bigger picture, metacognition is one of the higher order thinking functions that differentiate us as humans from other types of animals. Metacognition is being aware of and in control of our own thinking. Let's say you're reading a book, an article, newspaper, or anything for that matter, and you don't understand something. What would you do? You would reread the ununderstood part, right? Well, that's metacognition. That's how simple it is. It happens most naturally in most of the scenarios. I'll give you some more examples. When you forget where you parked your car or bike, when you forget which chapter of the book you are reading, or where you kept the book itself. In all these situations, you try to recreate the scenario. You try to think where you parked the car. You try to think really hard. Then you probably recall that it was close to a blue colored pillar with a really bad poster. It smelled really nice due to a flower shop. And probably chances are that you'll recreate and you'll get your bike or your car. Of course, these recall memories aren't as beautiful and fragrant as always. But you learned a lesson, and hopefully next time you are mindful of recalling where you parked the vehicle, used a bookmark for the book, or hopefully keep the book at the right place itself. These are few examples of metacognition, rather to be more specific, metacognitive regulation, which deals with controlling the thinking process, and if it's not in control, the brain makes adjustments to give it a sense of control. Metacognition isn't only about memorization. It's more so about improvement of your learning and the strategies you use to learn given a certain subject or a problem. Everyone learns at his or her own pace. Metacognition helps with the how of learning. That is, how do I approach to learn this topic or subject which can ease the learning process itself? Many a times, students and learners are directly forced to a topic. Basically, they are told or they choose the topic to learn, which is the goal, which is the ultimate goal. But seldom they devise a plan for it or a strategy to go about achieving that goal. Let's use the same analogy of travel. When you plan a travel, let's say again from Pune to Goa, you plan your clothes, your halts, the halts probably to eat. If there are roadblocks, and literally in this case, you know that you will navigate through and ensure that you're in control and you reach your destination. In learning, if the students and learners create a plan and approach the learning goal, it would be beneficial. The second step is to evaluate. That is, take a pause, take a step back and check if everything is going as per plan. Do we need to change? Do we need to change the course, or do we need additional information? What I could have done differently. This would help identify our own strengths and weaknesses. Be aware of how do I learn and learn about our own learning patterns. And when the learning goal is achieved, evaluate the results. And use this information and analysis for next time when you learn something similar or new. Easiest way to use metacognition is to ask yourself few questions before, during and after the task. Very simple. Some questions you can ask yourself before the task. Have I done something like this before? What is the goal of this task? What would be the first step? Then during the task, am I closer to the goal? Is the process working? Which areas I'll need help on? What can be done differently? Then after the task, what patterns I am able to recognize? What are my strengths and weaknesses? What worked and what didn't? Can I explain this to someone? This is an important one. Can I explain this to someone? This enforces that you've learned and there are some insights that you have and you can teach someone else. What would I do next time? These questions, realizations, and insights are not only good for students and learners, but they hold good for anybody for any type of tasks and problems. I hope you enjoyed this second last episode of the Relearning podcast. Next episode will be the last one for the season. It would really mean a lot if you share this episode and podcast with friends and family. Do tag IVM Podcasts and me. IVM is IVM Podcasts, ends with the S, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and LinkedIn. And I am Prashant Uttekar on Facebook, LinkedIn and Twitter, and DA_curious_1 ONE on Instagram. Until next time, this is Prashant Uttekar. Hope you plan your learning. Bye.
Hello, everybody. It's been another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. On a show about crypto, Rohan asked the question, what is the metaverse, to Harsh Rajat, creator of EPNS, that's the Ethereum Push Notification Service, and what the term means. There was a fun episode of Cyrus Says Cock and Bull that we did last week. We discussed a whole bunch of different things on it. As always, we discussed the India-New Zealand match and the reactions to it, and elephants in Africa being born tuskless. On Audio Gyan, Kedar introduces us to filmmaker Ashish Avikuntak and his artistic film, etc. On The Longest Constitution, Priya takes a look at Gandhi, same-sex love, and why a few of our laws need to be changed to accommodate the LGBTQIA community. And on The Wire Talk, Siddharth speaks to Ayaz Memon, the sports writer, journalist, lawyer, regular on Khel Niti, former host of one of our shows, The Cricketwala Chronicles, and so much more. They talk about his new book, Indian Innings, The Journey of Indian Cricket Since 1947. Do follow us on social media. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And remember, if you're enjoying this show or any of our other shows for that matter, please do tell a friend. And finally, we'd like to thank our sponsors on the network this week: Cred, Bank of Baroda, Quarter, CoinSwitch, Kuber, Slate Coffee, Intel, Kotak Mahindra Bank, and Oxfam India. Thank you so much for making this possible.
A wise man once said, traveling, it makes you speechless, then turns you into a storyteller.
Well, listen to such travel stories and experiences exploring India on the Musafir Stories with us, Saif and Faiza.
Catch us on the IVM website, app, or wherever you get your podcasts from.